UFC Fight Night Qatar is on our doorsteps, and today I'm going to be bringing you guys my full card predictions and breakdown for every single fight on this really stacked Fight Night card. This card is absolutely amazing, especially for a fight night. We got some absolutely great fights on here. We got some #1 contenders fights. We got some great fights on the prelims, and we got some banger matchups in between. So I'm going to be covering every single fight for you guys in this video. Like the video if you like the video. Subscribe to my channel. Let's get into it. Moving up the card, we got Nicholas Dalby taking on Zagid Ighzakmaev. All right, and Zagid Ighzakmaev is extremely experienced on the regional scene, and he's getting his first fight in the UFC against a top 20 ranked fighter, or yeah, like top 20. What weight class is this? Welterweight. I was about to say lightweight. Top 20 ranked welterweight in the UFC. That's a huge fight to be getting. And Nicholas Dalby, man, I love Dalby, dude. I absolutely love Dalby, but I think he's gonna get wrecked here. All right, he just got flatline KO'd by Randy Brown so badly. And that was like not even that long ago, dude. That was like 6 months ago. I don't know why he's back right now. He got flatlined so bad, took so much damage in that fight. Like, he needs to be out for at least a year after that one, I'm gonna be honest. But he is 40 years old, so I can see that's why he's coming back so fast. But dude, I feel like he's gonna get wrecked here. He's coming off of a flatline KO. Before that, he lost a split decision to Renat. Took some damage in both of those fights. Took insane amounts of damage against Randy Brown. He's 40 years old, all right? I think he's going to get knocked out here. Zagid Ighzakmaev, he's extremely experienced, and he's fought some pretty good guys on the regional scene. He did lose to Carlston Harris, and Carlston Harris was a UFC fighter. He was an all right UFC fighter. You know, he was like 3-3, 2-3, something like that. He got cut after a few fights. He was a little bit chinny, but Shavkat knocked him out with a wheel kick. It was pretty crazy, but I don't know, man. I don't have much confidence in Nicholas Dalby here, dude. I really want to like convince myself to pick Dalby here, but I made some extremely retarded picks on my last week's card, like picking GM3 to beat Kyle Dawkins, just because I really like GM3. That's kind of the reason why I picked him to beat Kyle Dawkins, if I'm going to be honest here. I don't actually know why I was picking him to beat Kyle Dawkins, and he got smoked by Kyle Dawkins. I think Dalby's going to get smoked here. I love Nicholas Dalby, but this is an extremely hard matchup for him, and I don't think he's going to go over well. I'm going to take Zagid Ighzakmaev by a first round TK. Moving up the card, we got Nuriel Aliyev taking on Shamrock, and Shamrock was very good on the regional scene over in the UK. He's had some great wins. He's been fighting all over the place, and he has a lot of wins over in that Octagon promotion, and he looked very good over there. He was fighting some pretty decent levels of competition, and he looked very well-rounded, like, overall. So I really liked like what I've seen from Shamrock on the regional scene, and he's fighting a guy named Nuriel Aliyev, who's 10-0, right? And Nuriel Aliyev, he's a very good fighter. I mean, he's extremely inactive, which is a little bit strange because he's undefeated and doesn't really take much damage in his fights, but I think he's getting a little bit overrated here. He's super inactive. He's fought some not that good fighters in the UFC. He beat Joe Solecki, who's now cut, and he beat Rafael Alves, who's now cut. Beat Rafael Alves by a majority decision that he debatably lost, and then took Joe Solecki to a 29-28 decision. It's like, not very impressive stuff here from Nuriel Aliyev. He's making it way too close with these low-level guys. Shamrock, he swings for the fences on the regional scene, man. Or not necessarily swings for the fences, but like, he's way more aggressive, puts on way more of a pace, way more pressure, way more of like intention with how he fights compared to Nuriel Aliyev. Nuriel Aliyev, man, he leaves it way too close with these guys, dude. I think he's going to lose to Shamrock. I think he's going to go out there and get fraud checked by Shamrock. Shamrock, he looked great on the regional scene. He's got a full camp for this fight, full camp preparation. Nuriel Aliyev, on the other hand, or not on the other hand, because he also has a full camp of preparation, but I just think he's been extremely overrated coming up. Or, I mean, not even that people are rating him too highly. I just feel like he's a huge favorite, and I don't really see why. He's looked pretty bad in his last couple fights, and I feel like Shamrock's going to probably put it on him and beat him by decision. I'm going to take Shamrock by a 29-28 unanimous decision. Moving up the card, we got Ryan Loder taking on Ismail Nardeev, and in Ryan Loder's last fight, he got walked down and beaten up, and just, not even beaten up, just KO'd and destroyed in a minute and a half by Asmat Bekaev, and he got like absolutely like walked down and like mogged on the feet. It was very bad. He did not look very good on the feet. He looked kind of lost out there against Bekaev. And Bekaev, man, I used to think very highly of Bekaev. I really don't anymore. He was getting his takedowns on Yusri Belgaravi, but he wasn't even really getting them that well. He was not keeping Belgaravi down. And on the feet, he was getting beat up, man. Bekwev was getting beat up on the feet, and I thought Bekwev was a very, very good fighter on the feet. And maybe Yusri Belgrouji is just very good, but Yusri Belgrouji has multiple losses on the regional scene. Formerly lost on the Contender Series. He's been beat by many people before. I don't think he's that amazing. You know what I'm saying? And Bekwev got destroyed by him, and Bekwev destroyed Ryan Loder. I'm going to be real honest. I don't think either of these guys are UFC level. Ismail Nardiv need Jung Young Park, literally just need him unconscious with an illegal knee. Completely illegal knee. Got 2 points taken away. And then just got beat up, dude. He lost 2 points after illegally kneeing Jung Young Park in the head and literally just knocking him out with an illegal knee almost. Like, had him completely out of there with that shot. And then he went on to lose the fight, and Jung Young Park flipped it around and started beating up damn Ismail Nardiv, dude. And it makes me think, like, man, I don't think either of these guys are UFC level, but I will say something about Ismail Nardiv. Jung Young Park is a way better fighter. A way better fighter than Ryan Loder. Ryan Loder is a huge step down in competition from Jung Young Park. Jung Young Park, he's fought some very, very high-level guys. Jung Young Park, he's a veteran in the game, man. And Ismail Nardiv had a very, very tough fight with Jung Young Park. That was a hard bout, man. That was a hard bout there. He was not expected to win that fight. That's a very, very tough matchup. Ryan Loder, on the other hand, that Bekwev fight, he was definitely supposed to look better than that. And on tough, dude, he did win tough, and he looked good against Robert Valentine, but we've now seen Robert Valentine definitely not a UFC level guy. So I'm definitely going to take Ismail Nardiv here. Frankly, I don't think that either of these guys are UFC level, but Ryan Loder, man, he did not look good in his last performance. That was a very, very bad performance. I do not rate that very highly at all. It's hard for me to pick up going into this fight. And Ismail Nardiv, he's fought way higher levels of competition than Ryan Loder has. So I'm definitely going to take Ismail Nardiv by a 29-28 unanimous decision. Moving up the card, we got Alexandre Topuria taking on Beksat Almakhan, and I'm extremely excited for this fight. This might honestly be my fight of the night. I'm so hyped for this one. And after looking at Colby Thickness's performance against Josias Musasa, I don't think Alexandre Topuria is that good. I think he's getting very, very overhyped because of his name. And I think that he looked pretty not that good in his performance against Colby Thickness. He did win by decision, but in the second round, in round 2, Colby Thickness won that round purely on the feet. He won that round in the striking. And Colby Thickness, man, he looked so bad on the feet against Josias Musasa, and he kind of got saved with the grappling, and he was getting out-grappled by Alexandre Topuria. But Beksat Almakhan, man, he's a very good grappler. And he's shown to be a pretty good grappler on the regional scene. And although he did get taken down by Umar, like, a lot, and he got controlled by Umar a lot, he fought Umar in his UFC debut on, like, a week's notice. He dropped him in round 1, and then round 2, round 3, and, like, most of round 1. He did get controlled, like, for almost the whole fight, but he did drop Umar on the feet, and he slept Brad Katona, like, pretty badly, dude, with this uppercut, like, so clean, bro, like, such a clean-looking uppercut. Beksat has some serious power, man, and I think he's going to outstrike Alexandre Topuria. Alexandre Topuria, he's extremely patient on the feet. I think he's way too low output. I think Beksat's going to walk him down. I think he's going to put these hands on him, and he's going to show this fast hand speed. Man, Beksat Almakhan, I think he's really, really good. I'm really, really high on Beksat. I think he's going to be ranked in the future. I really liked his performance against Umar, even though he got beat up by Umar. Umar, he couldn't get the finish. He was never really even close to a finish. He never really got any insanely dominant positions like crucifix, or he never took the back. He never did anything like that. He didn't really get much damage off on Beksat. He was able to survive for almost the whole fight, and he took that fight on super short notice against Umar, and he dropped Umar, too, in round 1. I think he's probably going to drop Alexandre Topuria in this fight. I think he's going to put the hand speed on him. I think he's going to beat him by decision here. Topuria is going to be shooting the takedowns. I think he's going to get the takedowns, but on the feet, I think Beksat's going to have an advantage, and I could definitely see him stuffing a few takedowns and eking out a split decision here. I think it's going to be a super, super close fight, and Alexandre Topuria is good, don't get me wrong, but I'm going to take Beksat Almakhan here by a 29-28 decision. I think both these guys are ranked potential. I think both these guys are going to be ranked in the future. These guys are great fighters, but I think that Beksat Almakhan's got him on this one. I'm taking Beksat by a 29-28 unanimous decision. Moving up the card, we got Tagir Ulanbekov taking on Kyoji Horiguchi, and Tagir Ulanbekov, man, his last fight against whatever that dude's name is, dude. I forget it. I always forget it. But it was a robbery. It was an absolute robbery. And that dude that he fought lost to Mitch Raposo. Mitch Raposo beat him. Mitch Raposo beat, I'm forgetting the guy's name, dude. I'm forgetting his name right now. But Mitch Raposo beat this guy way more clearly than Tagir did. Tagir definitely should have lost that fight. That was a very, very bad robbery there. Tagir did not do anything special in that one. And in his fight before that, he went to a 29-28 decision, razor close with Clayton Carpenter. And Clayton Carpenter is another guy who I think is a lot worse than Kyoji Horiguchi. Kyoji Horiguchi, he was undefeated in the UFC outside of his loss to Demetrius Johnson. And he's been doing very, very good on the regional scene ever since leaving the UFC. He was on a win streak in the UFC before leaving. He's been dominating in Rizin. He had a few wins over there in Bellator. He had a KO in like 20 seconds over in Bellator. He's been looking very, very good. To be fair, it's against some pretty low-level competition. And he is 5'5" at 135, and he is 35 years old at bantamweight, which is pretty old. But Tagir Ulanbekov, he's a vet in the UFC, and he looked so bad in his last fight against that one dude who then went on to lose to Mitch Raposo in his next fight. It's such a bad look, in my opinion. I think that Tagir is going to get beat up here by Kyoji Horiguchi. Kyoji Horiguchi, I know that we haven't seen him in the UFC in a long time. And I know that he's getting up there in age, and he's a little bit small for bantamweight, especially. Like, he's going to be, or no, this is flyweight. Okay, I forgot. For some reason, I thought this was a bantamweight. Kyoji Horiguchi's not going to be that small, actually. I think he's actually going to be able to, he's not going to have much of a size disadvantage here against Tagir. I'm very, very confident here in Kyoji Horiguchi. I think Tagir is extremely overrated. He should have lost his last fight. Before that, he had a really close fight with Clayton Carpenter, Clayton Carpenter is just not that good, man. He's really not. He's a little bit overrated, I think. He was getting a little bit overrated going into that Tagir fight. He had a little bit of hype going into it, but he's pretty one-dimensional, pretty low output. Tagir Ulanbekov, he's having way too close of fights with way too low of level fighters, man. Like, I have a very, very strong feeling here that Kyoji Horiguchi's probably going to be able to get him out of there. All right, I think the Kyoji Horiguchi might even be able to knock him out on the feet, man. He's going to walk him down. He's going to piece him up. He's going to throw his hands. And Tagir Ulanbekov, man, just not a lot to see, dude. Like, he doesn't do much. Like, what does Tagir even do to win? What does he do? He gets takedowns? That's what he does? I don't even know, dude. I think Kyoji Horiguchi's going to beat him by decision, 30-27. I think it's going to be dominant. I think it's going to be unanimous, all right? Give me Kyoji Horiguchi by decision. Moving up the card, we got Abdul Rahman Yakhniev taking on Rafael Caquera. And Yakhniev, man, he absolutely ran through this guy on the regional scene. Or not on the regional scene, on the contender series in his last fight, Alec Lorenz. And Alec Lorenz is actually a pretty decent fighter. He trains at a high-level gym. He trains with some high-level guys. And he was a minus 1,000 favorite going into that fight. He absolutely ran through him. He's been running through everybody on the regional scene. And he's been fighting some pretty high-level guys as well on the regional scene. This guy, Yakhniev, has looked so good, dude, on the regional scene. It's not even funny. All right? And he absolutely ran through this dude on the contender series bad. TKO'd him so quickly, like 30-second knockout. Now, he's taking on Rafael Caquera. Rafael Caquera is the worst fighter in the UFC. I do not know how he's in the UFC. I said that in the last fight that I predicted. I said, how is this dude in the UFC? And the fight before that, I said, how is this dude in the UFC? How is this dude in the UFC? He doesn't even win in the contender series or do nothing. He gets just signed out of nowhere. He just shells up and gets TKO'd by Ibo Aslan in about a minute. Then, he gets another fight somehow, after proving absolutely nothing. And then he gets knocked out again by damn Modestas Bukauskas. He gets flatlined bad by Bukauskas in another minute. 1 minute KO, and then 1 minute KO loss. Back to back, doing the same thing. Shelling up, getting KO'd. That's what he does. And then he gets another fight. And he fights this guy named Julius Walker. And Julius Walker probably 30-25s him on the ground. And just absolutely mauls Rafael Caquera for the whole 15 minutes of the fight. He's shown absolutely nothing in his 3 UFC fights. I do not know why he's still in the UFC. It makes absolutely no sense to me. He fought some absolute cans on the regional scene. And now he's taking on Yakhniev. And Yakhniev, man, I think he's really good. We haven't really seen him fight, but I think he's definitely going to be able to get past Rafael Caquera. So give me Yakhniev. I don't even know how to say his first name, but give me Yakhniev by first round KO. Moving up the card, we got Luke Riley taking on Bogdan Grad, and Luke Riley is probably one of the most hyped up guys on the regional scene that there really was. He was absolutely dominating over in Cage Warriors. He was undefeated, 11-0, And he was beating everybody over there in England. I mean, he was beating the highest level guys they had. He was a reigning, defending champion over there in Cage Warriors, I believe. And now he's going to be taking on Bogdan Grad. And Bogdan Grad had a pretty bad performance against Muhammad Naimov, I'm going to be honest. It was a very, very close fight, but he got wheel kicked and rocked bad in round 1. And then kind of resulted to like laying and praying in round 2 and round 3. That kind of like got him close, kind of. But like, he definitely did not win that fight. Muhammad Naimov won very, very clearly. And Naimov, man, I think Naimov's decent though. You know, I really think that Naimov's all right, but I like to believe that Luke Riley is going to be able to beat Bogdan Grad here. Luke Riley, he had a lot of hype coming in, and they're giving him Bogdan Grad, and Bogdan Grad is not a bum. Bogdan Grad is no bum. He's no can. He's not the absolute bottom of the barrel UFC fighter. He's a little steps above it. And I think that Bogdan Grad, he's a pretty okay UFC fighter, man. He's definitely not like ranked potential or anything. But I feel like I don't know. I feel like the UFC would not give Luke Riley Bogdan Grad if they were not extremely confident that he was going to knock out Bogdan Grad. Or not knock out Bogdan Grad, but just beat up Bogdan Grad. And Luke Riley, he's extremely well-rounded. He's looked very, very good over there in Cage Warriors. And I mean, I just think that he's going to be able to stuff the takedowns of Bogdan Grad and knock him out. I mean, Bogdan Grad, he hasn't really shown much on the feet. I mean, he did KO Lucas Alexander, but Lucas Alexander is not that good of a UFC fighter. And actually like a bum who's probably cut by now. He's a terrible UFC fighter. When it comes to UFC level fighters, he's a very, very bad one. And Luke Riley, man, he's been beating some really, really good guys on the regional scene, and I just cannot help but pick him to win this fight. I'm extremely confident in him, and I think the UFC is too. So give me Luke Riley here by first or second round, TK. Moving up the card, we got Asu Almabayev taking on Alex Perez. And Almabayev in his last fight, he did win against Jose Ochoa, but it was an extremely underwhelming performance in my opinion. And you honestly could argue that he lost. I'm going to be real. He probably did get out damaged by Jose Ochoa. It was very boring. From Asu Almabayev, there was a lot of controlling, not a lot of dominant positions, not a lot of submission attempts, not a lot of ground and pound shots, not a lot of looking to finish the fight. A lot of laying and praying and hoping that you get the decision. And he did wind up getting the decision, but I feel like Alex Perez, I feel like he's better than that. You know what I'm saying? Alex Perez, I kind of think of him as being like really, really old. I think of Perez as being really, really old, but he's not. He's only like 33, or 31 actually. Or no, Almabayev is 31. He is 33, that's what I got mixed up. But Alex Perez, he's only 33 years old, and he's only lost to guys like that are very, very skilled. Like, he's only lost to Davison Figueiredo, Muhammad Makayev. Who did he lose to in his last fight? Tatsuro Taira, you know what I'm saying? Like, really, really high-level guys, and like, usually when he fights a guy that's more of an Asu Almabayev level, like a Mateus Nicolau, he sleeps the fella. You know what I'm saying? And I think that he's going to probably sleep Asu Almabayev in this fight, man. I mean, Asu Almabayev, he's looked atrocious on the feet in all of his fights, man. And I know that he's going to shoot a bunch of takedowns, like, of course, you know what I'm saying? But like, on the feet, and it's going to start there in every single round, Asu Almabayev has looked extremely bad. He almost got knocked out by Jose Ochoa, and I feel like Alex Perez is going to be able to put it on him on the feet and probably squeak out a decision just based off the damage, man. I mean, Asu Almabayev, I know that he's a big favorite in this fight, or pretty sizable favorite, and he's on a win streak. He's the younger guy or whatever, you know. Alex Perez, he hasn't fought in a while. He's losing momentum, you know, whatever it is, but I don't know, man. I think in his last fight to Tatsuro Taira, he lost because like his arm or like shoulder like broke or something on the ground. Like, he didn't even really get submitted for it. He lost due to an injury. You know what I'm saying? And although I think Taira would have beat him either way, dude, Asu Almabayev is a big step down from Tatsuro Taira, and I think that Alex Perez is going to put it on him on the feet and just out-damage him to probably win a 29-28 or even 30-27 decision. So give me Alex Perez by unanimous decision. Moving up the card, we got Sergey Spivak taking on Shamil the Blob Gaziev. Dude, Lucas Tracy, man, needs to come back. Dude, I don't know why he keeps retiring over and over again, all right? But Shamil Gaziev taking on Sergey Spivak, and listen. A lot of people are picking Shamil Gaziev, and a lot of people are hyping up Gaziev for like the meme of it. You know what I'm saying? The memes, you know what I'm saying? But I honestly feel like that Sergey Spivak is a pretty damn good fighter, man. I mean, his only losses, I think he should have won against Waldo Cortez Acosta, if I'm going to be honest. I do think that might have been a little bit of a robbery. He won that first round very clear. That third round was razor close, and Waldo Cortez Acosta really did not do much in that fight that, like, stole the fight from him. You know what I'm saying? Like in that first round, Sergey Spivak really dominated with his grappling. He got the takedown. He was dominating on top. But like Waldo Cortez Acosta on the feet in rounds 2 and rounds 3, he was just barely winning, maybe even losing if I'm going to be honest. So I feel like Sergey Spivak, it was not too bad of a performance from Spivak, if I'm going to be honest. It was a pretty good performance, and I think he should have won. And besides that, his losses are to like Cyril Gane, Tom Aspinall, very, very good fighters. Shamil Gaziev, he's got a big hole in his game. A big hole in his game, and that's his cardio, man. It's a huge hole. It's very apparent, all right? It's a huge hole, dude, in his game. Shamil Gaziev, he's got a huge cardio issue, man. He's got an absolutely huge cardio issue, and he hasn't really seemed to fix it. Like, in his fight with Dontel Mays, he was huffing and puffing, and Dontel Mays showed him almost no resistance at all. Dontel Mays gave him almost no resistance at all in the grappling, and Shamil Gaziev was dog-tired from doing, like, nothing. I didn't even understand what he was even tired from. He was just tired from, like, laying on top of Dontel Mays, and Dontel Mays couldn't even get up. I don't even know. I don't know where he used all of his energy, but... And then in his fight with Thomas Peterson, he knocked him out in like 2 minutes or 3 minutes. So it's like, how can you really like, you know, we didn't even really get to see his cardio tested in that one. And I don't think Sergey Spivak is just going to wilt or get knocked out in round 1. I think this fight is going to see round 2. I think it is going to see round 3. And I actually think it's going to go to a decision here. I think Sergey Spivak, he's going to be able to stuff the takedowns better than a guy like Dontel Mays would or a guy like Thomas Peterson would. You know what I'm saying? I think that he's going to show a lot more resistance than those guys will, and he's going to make Gaziev work a little bit more for those takedowns. And I think that Gaziev's going to tire out real bad after round 1 and probably lose round 2 and round 3 by decision. So I'm taking Sergey Spivak by a 29-28 unanimous decision. Moving up the card, we got Jack Hermansson taking on Miktek Oralbai, and this is one of the weirdest matchmaking I've ever seen, like ever. So Oralbai is moving up to welterweight to fight an unranked Jack Hermansson when he could probably get a ranked guy down at lightweight. I don't know what this is about. Oralbai is not even a big 155er. I don't really understand why he's moving up, but I think he's going to submit Jack Hermansson like fairly easily, man. Like Jack Hermansson got KO'd so badly in his last fight. It was an absolutely brutal KO from RoboCop. I mean, that was a tough one to watch. I mean, so like some of the most it was probably the most unnecessary follow-up shot I've ever seen ever, and it really messed up Jack Hermansson, dude. And Hermansson, dude, he's been knocked out a couple times now, pretty badly. And I don't think he's going to be the same. You know, I really don't think he's going to be the same. He's 37 years old. That's pretty old for welterweight, especially, and like. Or not especially for welterweight, but like I feel like at about like welterweight and lower, like 37 years old, that is pretty old for the division. And Oralbai is coming up from 155, and he's already so skilled at 155, especially in the grappling. I think he's going to move up and just show that lighter man skill on Jack Hermansson fairly easily. I'm going to be taking Miktek Oralbai here by round 1. I'm going to be taking Miktek Oralbai by round 1 submission fairly confidently as well. Moving up to our feature fight, we got Alonzo Menifield taking on Volkan Oezdemir, and Menifield, man, getting his shot in the top 7, taking on Volkan Oezdemir. And Oezdemir is coming off of that Johnny Walker KO win. I think he's coming off that Johnny Walker KO win. I don't think he's fought anybody since then. And Alonzo Menifield, he is coming off of a couple of very lackluster, weird split decisions against some like not that good guys, and Julius Walker and Umar Sy, who are really not that good, and they definitely could have beat him, and there were split decisions that he debatably lost, and Oezdemir's going to knock him out like so easily, I think. I mean, this is a mismatch here, I think. I don't think Menifield deserves a shot up the rankings like this. Menifield, I think he needs another guy. I think he needs to prove himself a little bit more. His last couple fights have been pretty lackluster, and I know that he had a good amount of hype coming in, but that fight with Umar Sy was really weird, man. And so was that fight with Julius Walker. It was just like, he was gassed. Like, it looked like they were gassed the whole fight. And it was like, such low output. And like, Umar Sy was like hanging on to the single leg for like 3.5 minutes for no reason. And I just like, I feel like Umar Sy and Julius Walker kind of threw those fights away from themselves a little bit. And I feel like Menifield could have easily lost both of those fights. And Oezdemir, man, he's got power in his hands, and Menifield, he's been knocked out a few times before. I think I'm going to take Volkan Oezdemir here by a first or second round, TK. Moving up the card, we got Bilal Muhammad taking on Ian Gary, and I do think that people are really underrating Bilal Muhammad here. I mean, Although his win over Leon Edwards was, I mean, it wasn't the best. It was a 3-2 decision, but I mean, his performance against Jack Della Maddalena was pretty decent, man. He was standing with him on the feet for a while. He was striking with the jack, and he was losing on the feet. He did get 4-1 on the feet, but I think JDM's a way better boxer than Ian Gary. And I think that, and Bilal was standing with him, man. He was boxing with him. I mean, Bilal was trading with Jack Della Maddalena, and I think that he's going to be able to stand with Ian Gary a little bit here, but the reason why I'm going to pick Ian Gary in this fight is Bilal Muhammad was failing his takedowns against JDM almost every single one, dude. And that's like, he was not getting any of his takedowns going against JDM. I feel like there's kind of like this narrative that he wasn't shooting, but he definitely was shooting. He shot the same amount of takedowns that he did against Leon Edwards. The only difference is that in the Edwards fight, he got the takedowns. In the Jack Della Maddalena fight, he failed him and he had to stand with him. So I will say I was impressed with Bilal's boxing, but I was not impressed with the wrestling. I thought that his wrestling was going to be way more effective in this fight with JDM, and I don't think it's going to be that effective here in this fight with Ian Gary. I think that Ian Gary, he's probably a better grappler than JDM is, man. I mean, Ian Gary, he's looked pretty good on the ground in his last few fights, and against Shavkat, he was stuffing his takedowns pretty well, man. It was a lot of stalemating against the clinch because Ian Gary was stuffing those takedowns in Bilal Muhammad, so I do feel like he's going to be able to stuff the takedowns. Or no, Ian Gary was stuffing the takedowns of Shavkat. But I do think that Ian Gary is going to be able to stuff the takedowns of Bilal Muhammad and keep this on the feet for a big portion of the fight. And I think that on the feet, Ian Gary is going to be able to just barely outdo Bilal Muhammad. That's kind of my prediction here. I think Ian Gary is just going to be able to slightly outdo Bilal in each round, and maybe Bilal wins like one round with his wrestling, but I don't know. I'm pretty confident Ian Gary here. I'm going to take Ian Gary by a 29-28. Unanimous decision. And finally, in the main event, the guy that has not fought since UFC 322 pay-per-views ago, Arman Tsarukyan is taking on Dan Hooker in the main event. And I believe that this is probably going to be the #1 contenders fight, especially for Arman Tsarukyan here. And I love Dan Hooker, man. Come on, baby. Woo! Dan Hooker, baby. Come on now, but I'm fired up for this fight, dude. I'm extremely fired up for this Dan Hooker fight, but I cannot pick him to win, dude. I cannot pick him to win. I think that Arman's going to be able to take him down here. I will say, people are overlooking Dan Hooker. People really are overlooking Dan Hooker. I'm being genuine. I know that Dan Hooker's my favorite fighter, whatever it is. I'm going to be very biased towards him, and I am very biased towards Dan Hooker, but I picked him to beat Gamrot, by the way. Just saying. UFC 305, full card picks. Picked him to beat Gamrot. Just letting you know, but I'm not picking him here to beat Arman. I think that Arman is going to be able to get the takedowns here early and just probably do, he's probably going to stuff his face in Hooker's leg and, get the takedowns. You know what I'm saying? I think he's going to be able to just out-control Dan Hooker for long enough and probably just win like a super dominant decision, like 49-48 or maybe 49-46 or maybe even a 50-45 here. I don't see Dan Hooker being able to stuff the takedowns at Arman. Arman has extremely good wrestling, man. I mean, and extremely good top control as well. I mean, Arman, he's very good at keeping you there. He's very good at getting you there and keeping you there, I tell you, man. And he's got great ground and pound too. And I think that he's going to be able to weigh on Dan Hooker here. And Dan Hooker might get a little bit defeated as the fight goes on. Of course, I'm still going to be pulling for Dan Hooker. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm definitely going to be rooting for that round 4 TKO, weighing on Arman, starting to break him up against the fence after round 3. He starts stuffing the takedowns, and then he starts breaking him up against the fence. He starts knocking him out, and he knocks the head off him, and he knocks the head off Arman Tsarukyan in round 4. But I don't know. I really don't see it happening, man. I really feel like that Arman Tsarukyan is going to he's just going to be able to control Dan Hooker and win the fight fairly easily here. I'm going to take Arman Tsarukyan by a 49-46 decision, and I think that he's probably going to get the Ilya fight after. And hopefully we see Ilya Arman, and then we see Ilya Makhachev after Ilya flatlines Arman. But I don't know. I mean, we'll see what happens here. I mean, these divisions, man, I mean, it's extremely stacked. I mean, that lightweight, welterweight, featherweight, I mean, there's so much stuff going on at the top of these divisions, and who even knows what's going to happen. But I do think that Arman Tsarukyan is going to be able to squeak by Dan Hooker, but I'm going to be pulling for Dan Hooker, just know that. But if you guys like the video, subscribe to my channel, comment down below if you guys think I'm wrong, right, whatever you feel. And yeah, who's with me?